All right, today we're jumping into a really provocative book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb called Fooled by Randomness. And let me tell you, this one is a real mind bender. It's going to challenge your core beliefs about success, about skill, and, just how much control we actually have over our own lives.
So, this quote right here, this is pretty much the central idea of the whole book. And let's be honest, it's kind of unsettling. Taleb's whole argument is that we are constantly, and I mean constantly, mistaking simple, dumb luck for genius. And what that means is that a lot of our heroes, our role models, maybe even our own successes, they just aren't what they seem.
So that really boils down to this one core question. You see that star investor, right? The one with the Midas touch? Or that CEO who can do no wrong? Are we looking at a true genius, or are we just looking at the lucky winner of some kind of cosmic coin flipping contest? Taleb's book gives us this powerful new lens to really see the world in a totally different way. All right, first up, let's dig into what is maybe the biggest illusion of them all, the thing that completely warps how we see reality, and that's our intense focus on the winners, on the people who actually made it. This is a huge cognitive trap, and pretty much all of us fall into it. I mean, think about it. Our attention is just naturally drawn to the winner, right? We see the triumphant stories splattered all over the headlines, the billionaire who dropped out of college, the investor who just crushes the market year after year. Their stories are visible, they're loud, they're super compelling. But, and this is a huge but, they're also dangerously incomplete.
And this gets us to a really important concept, survivorship bias. Basically, we build our entire picture of the world based on the success stories we see. But here's the thing, we completely ignore the failures. Why? Well, because they're invisible. The people who fail don't write best-selling books, they don't give TED Talks. And because of that, we end up with this totally flawed, warped picture of what it actually takes to succeed.
Yeah, this is what Taleb calls silent evidence. And it's such a powerful idea. For every single successful entrepreneur you can name, there's a huge silent graveyard of people who tried the exact same things and went bust. We just don't hear their stories, right? They're the silent data points. And by ignoring them, we end up wildly overestimating how great a strategy is, and we give way, way too much credit to skill. Okay, so that leads us right into the next big point. And this one's a doozy. Even a really long, amazing track record of success can be a terribly misleading guide to what's coming next. To explain this, Taleb uses one of his most famous and honestly most brilliant examples.
Okay, meet the turkey. For 999 days, this turkey's life is great. Every single day, a friendly human comes and feeds it. Its belief that humans are a source of security is confirmed day after day after day. Its model of the world gets stronger, its confidence is growing, and on day 999, it's at an absolute maximum. The turkey is totally safe, right? And then comes Thanksgiving. And this story just perfectly illustrates a huge philosophical idea called the problem of induction. See, we are wired to assume that what's happened in the past is just going to keep happening in the future. And you know what? Most of the time, that works out okay. But it leaves us completely exposed, totally fragile to those sudden shocks, the Thanksgiving days that can pop up in the stock market, in our careers, in our lives. So, if the past is such a bad guide, why do we keep falling for it over and over again? Well, the answer is pretty simple, and it's just deeply human. Our brains are basically story-making machines. We're wired to invent explanations for everything, even when we're just looking at totally random noise. Taleb has a name for this, too. He calls it the narrative fallacy. Look, we're storytelling animals, right? We would much, much rather have a comforting, neat little story like, oh, the market went up today because of X report, than accept the messy, unsettling truth that it might have just been random. A good story makes us feel like we're in control, like we get it, like the world makes sense. And this quote just nails it. Think about how the media talks about a CEO. If the company's stock is soaring, his stubbornness is praised as visionary leadership. But if the company tanks, that exact same quality is now called an arrogant refusal to adapt. Nothing about the person changed, only the random outcome did. We just make up the story after we know the ending to make it all seem logical. Okay, so after debunking all these powerful myths, you might be feeling a little lost. But the book doesn't just leave you there. Taleb actually offers a really powerful, practical philosophy for how to live, how to navigate a world that's so full of randomness. So he uses this awesome comparison between two kinds of traders. On one hand, you've got the fragile trader. This is the person who gets completely wiped out by a random event because they're overconfident, they take these huge risks, and they think they're a genius. But then you have the robust trader, and this person is different. They're humble, they know luck plays a huge part, and their number one goal isn't to hit a home run, it's just to avoid getting knocked out of the game. Their goal is survival.
And this quote right here is really the key takeaway of the whole philosophy. In a world full of randomness, the true test of your ability isn't some short burst of success. It's survival over a long, long time. I mean, anybody can get lucky for a year, right? Maybe even 5. But to survive for decades? Wow, that takes a totally different, much more robust strategy, one that truly respects the power of chance.
So, what's the practical takeaway here? What does this mean for your career, for your life? It all comes down to adopting a new, more resilient way of thinking. And look, this isn't about being cynical or pessimistic. It's about being smart. It's about being humble.
So here are the big ones. First, be super skeptical of anyone who sounds too confident about the future. Second, really focus on controlling your downside risk. The goal is to avoid ruin, even if that means you miss out on some potential gains. It's all about embracing humility, valuing resilience over those flashy, lucky streaks. It's almost like a modern form of stoicism. Focus on what you can control, prepare for the unexpected, and don't tie your ego to outcomes that are ultimately random. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most provocative question the book leaves us with. It's a challenge, really, a challenge to turn this lens back on ourselves. When you look back at your own successes, your own achievements, how much of that was pure skill? And how much of it was, well, just a really good story you told yourself about a few lucky breaks? It's a humbling thought for sure, but it's also a thought that can make you so much stronger, so much more resilient for whatever randomness the future throws your way.